Welcome to the video on how to create an R Markdown file, or where do I type up my homework. Okay, before we get started on this, I need you to have three things open. I want you to have the Canvas page open to Assignment 1, Chapter 1. I'd like you to get Chapter 1 open in the Open Intro Statistics book, and of course you need to have RStudio open. Okay, so once you've got all those resources ready to go, let's go take a look at RStudio, and the very first thing we're going to do is create a new R Markdown file. We'll title it Assignment 1. Don't put a space there. And we get greeted with the following boilerplate. Now this first part's awesome. We want to keep that. The rest of the stuff, as we'll find in every time we create a new R Markdown file, we're just going to get rid of all of that stuff down there. But before I do that the first time, I do want to show you this. This is called an R chunk right here. It's a very important part of an R Markdown file. That allows us to put in R code and keep it separate from the rest of our text. So that's where like the plots or the data matrix that we saw when we compiled this before showed up, okay? But for 99% of the time, we're just going to get rid of all that, okay? Oops, I'll get rid of that part too. Okay, so now once we've gotten rid of that, what do we want to do? Well, we want to input, first of all, what are the problems that we're going to be working in this particular assignment. So that's why you needed to have Assignment 1, Chapter 1 opened up. And so if you go there and then just highlight the assignment and copy it, and then bring it back over here to your R Markdown file and paste it in, voila, there you go, okay? Now, RStudio and R Markdown sees line breaks as a double space at the end of the line. So if you put in two spaces, hit a return again, put a blank space between what you just did and the next thing you want to do, then we'll be good to go. Generally speaking, you want to put blank lines between items in RStudio. Okay, so now that I've got a new spot down here, I want to come in and I'd like to put in the header for exercise 1.1. So how do I get it to look different? How do I get the type to look different so that it doesn't just look like plain text for the whole thing? Well, you notice the question mark up here? If you click on that, you'll notice that there is a handy little reference here called Markdown Quick Reference Guide. And if you click on that, it'll open up over here in the help window a bunch of really useful help in terms of getting you information about how to do Markdown. It's kind of like your little guide on the side, so to speak. Now there's also, in the assignment, you'll notice that there was a PDF R Markdown cheat sheet. Might not be a bad idea to have that open also in front of you while you're doing this to help you out with this. So to change the text size when you're doing a header, so to speak, which is what we're doing, use one of the header commands. And the commands basically are putting a series of hashtags or tic-tac-toe signs or pound signs, gives you a header. And so the more of them you put in, the smaller it gets. So for example, if you put in 5 hashtags, in the proper spot of course, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hashtags, and you type in exercise 1.1. Let's go ahead and save this before we knit it, and I'll show you what that looks like. So stop for just a second before we go any further. Let's go save what we're doing. So let's go click on Save. Let's go navigate to our R files. Let's make a new folder. Let's call that Assignment 1. And then let's go ahead and up here, if it says Untitled, put Assignment 1 up there also, and then save that, and you should get an RMD file there, which is nice now. Okay, so now let's go ahead and knit that now that we've saved it. And let's see if that comes out how we wanted it to. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so you take a look. Gives this huge Assignment 1, Mike Butler, May 19th. And then it gives you the listing of all the textbook problems, and then exercise 1.1 is in bold there. Now notice if I take away one of those hash marks, watch what happens to the file here. Put a space there. There, I did want a space actually. Knit it again. And notice it makes it bigger. So you decide, this is a style thing, you decide how big you want those to be, okay? All right, so now let's go ahead and come down and let's go ahead and take a look at exercise 1 here. Exercise 1, they ask us in 1.1, they want to know what percentage of the treatment group were pain-free for 24 hours after receiving acupuncture. If you haven't read this problem yet, it's taking a look at migraine therapy using acupuncture. And so the treatment group got acupuncture in the proper place in their ear, and the control group got acupuncture in the not proper place in their ear. And they took a look and see who got pain relief between the two groups, okay? So in the first one, they want to know what percentage of patients in the treatment group were pain-free 24 hours after receiving acupuncture, what percent in the control group, okay? So we're going to go ahead and put an A here. There we go. Get the right spot here. There we go. Put an A in. So that's our problem. And then we're going to go ahead and put treatment group here so we know what we're talking about. And then I'm going to have R do some arithmetic for me. So slide over here to your quick reference. And one of the things you can do is you can get R to actually do inline R code, okay? So let's slide down here. Oh, I think I blew past it already here. Yeah, inline R code. There we go. And so that's a tick. That's not an apostrophe or a parenthesis or any of those other crazy things. It's a tick. And where do the ticks live? Well, it's above your tab key. So if you take a look where the tilde is at, directly below escape, you should have the tick mark there. So when I open a tick, that tells R that I'm now doing R stuff, but even more importantly, I have to put an R there. So tick R says, go do something in R for me. Now I wanted to calculate the percentage. Well, the percentage of the pain-free were 10 divided by 43, but I'm going to say times 100 so that'll make it into a percent. Now I close the tick, not with a 1, with a tick, there we go. And then let's put a percent symbol there, okay? And then we'll hit a double space and hit a return. If I don't put that double space in, it'll put them all in the same line. So that's real important for the double space. And now, I'm still in part A here. I don't want to put in a B yet. And what percent was the control group? So let's go control group. And let's go and put in our R tick. And we're going to have what? 2 divided by 46 times 100. Close our R tick and then put in a percent symbol. Okay. So let's see if I got that right. Let's go ahead and give that a roll. Let's go ahead and save it. And then we'll knit the HTML here. Looking good. Okay. So we've got a rather nice looking thing. Of course, the percentages are maybe a bit more places of accuracy than we need, but that's fine for the moment. I'll teach you how to crop the numbers down in a bit, but for the moment, that's just fine. Okay. All right. So now we want to go in and put the next one in. So what will we do? Well, we'll hit a return. Back up here in the file again, and then let's put in a B. And in B it says, at first glance, does acupuncture appear to be an effective treatment for migraines? Explain your reasoning. And it would be, it seems that it is. The percent differences were what? I mean, it was like almost a 20% difference between the two, right? There is, actually I need to knit it again because I forgot the numbers already, but I think it was almost 20%, right? Yeah, looking like what, about a 19% difference between the two. There is about, wrong window. Gotta keep reminding myself to come back up to the right window here. There is about a 19% difference between treatment and control groups. Okay, so that's justifying your answer, explaining your answer. You can't just say yes, okay? You got to give some sort of a rationale for it, and that 19% would be my rationale. So put in a double space to get a new line, and come down here, and let's go ahead and put in part C. And it says, do the data provide convincing evidence that there is real pain reduction for these patients of the treatment group, or do you think the observed difference might be due to just chance? Okay, And that is one of the fundamental questions for this entire course. How do we determine the difference between whether or not it was just dumb luck or there was a significant difference between the two groups? So I'm going to go with, it appears that the treatment worked. Why does it appear that the treatment worked? Well, because I think that's a big enough difference between the two of them. Now you could just say, you know what, I think it's a bunch of hooky, and then you don't give me enough information and blah, blah, blah. Well, as long as you back up your response, then there really isn't a wrong answer for this question, provided that you back up what you're saying, okay? I'm typing in that the difference between the groups is larger than what would be expected from chance. Okay, all right, so let's knit this one more time. Okay, great. Homework's looking pretty good. Not a bad little word processor we got going here. Its real value comes when we start having to insert graphics. When we want to put in a plot or something, that's when R starts coming onto its own. Okay, let's get back up into our document here. Double space, hit a return, and let's put in 1, 2, 3, 4 more, and then we're going to put in exercise. I believe it's 1.2. Yes, 1.2 is our next problem. Okay, and then we'll hit a return, and I'll get you started on this bit. I'm not going to do all of your homework for you. Got to let you have some fun. And so, part A on this one is what percent of patients in the treatment group experienced a significant improvement in symptoms. This is where they were taking a look at using an antibiotic for cyanitis versus using just some sort of over-the-counter pain reliever and decongestant or antihistamine. So let's see, what percentage of the treatment group experienced significant improvement in relief? What percent of the control groups? This is basically the same problem as was above. So I'm going to cheat here a little bit. Well, that's not cheating, just working smart instead of hard, right? And I'm going to come up and copy my previous response, paste it down here, and then all I've got to do is come in and change my numbers, don't I, right? So in the treatment group this time it was 66, no, not 166, 66 divided by 85. And the control group was 65 divided by 81. Okay, so let's go ahead and knit that, and then I'm going to let you take it from here, okay? And you see that now I got a nice break between my problems. Everything is lining up real nicely. It's just a beautiful thing, okay? All right, well, hopefully this was enough to get you started. One last thing is that part of why you're doing this file management, so it makes it easy for you to come back here, and what you're going to turn in for your homework is this HTML document, the assignment1.html. That's what's going up into the submit assignment in Canvas, not the RMD. Give me the HTML, okay? And as always, if you have any questions, please post them to questions for the instructor. Make the topic that you put in there explanatory so we know what we're looking at, and I'll try to get back to you within 24 hours.